Some stories are built on success, others are built on survival, and the ones that truly stay with us are built on transformation. Today's guest brings all three. I'm honored to welcome Ken Miller, CFRE. Ken is a published author, national speaker, a seven-figure business owner. He is also the president of Denali FSP Fundraising and Grant Consultants, where he helps organizations grow, secure funding, and create lasting impact. But what Ken's voice is different. It's not just about what he's built, it's what he's come through. His journey includes recovery from addiction, the time spent in incarceration, experience that forced him to confront himself, rebuild from the ground up, and redefine leadership, purpose, and resilience. Truly, today, Ken is known for speaking with honesty, not theory, not polished motivation, but real world perspective on what it takes to change your life when the odds are against you. He shares what it means to move from survival to purpose, from setback to structure, and from being defined by your past to building something that impacts others. This conversation is about more than success. It's about responsibility, ownership, and what becomes possible when you decide to lead your life differently. This is Beyond Transcendence with Andrew. Let's begin. Welcome to the show, Ken.
Well, thank you, Andrew.
Ken, your journey includes addiction, incarceration, and rebuilding your life. What was the moment when you realized you had to change things?
There's been a lot of them. um, there was moments as a child, as a teenager, in college, in my early corporate world, that I knew something had to change. It's not so much that something had to change. I didn't know what really needed to change. I just knew that I was in too much emotional discomfort and pain, that I had to do something different. And so, after a myriad of experiences and a lot of different things that I did to try to change, I definitely have changed today.
Wow. So when someone hits that point of rock bottom or close to it, what separates people who rebuild from those who stay stuck?
A lot of it's perseverance. For many, it's faith. For many, it's accountability. For many, it is stick to itiveness. For many, it is a goal, a dream, an aspiration, a belief, that keeps them going. Because to make the transformation, by nature, there's going to be some discomfort. If not, we just do it. Let me put it this way. So, for the great majority of people, we just breathe. We know how to breathe. We breathe in, we breathe out, and there's no transformation in how we breathe. Now, you can do different things, and there's things that you can do to adjust your breathing. But for most, it's natural. It's autonomic. But to transform your state of being, because that's what we're talking about, a state of being, and a state of doing, from one state of being that you believe is either negative or is causing friction or pain or discomfort to you and others, to another desired result. Involved in that is going to be discomfort, because you got to do some things differently. And for many people, there's fear involved when we do something different.
Right. You speak a lot about resilience. What does resilience actually look like day to day, not just an idea? After going through those experiences, how did you begin rebuilding trust within yourself and then first with others?
Okay, there's a lot of questions on that one. So resilience is the simple term we use is the comeback from the setback. Okay, you've had a setback. You have something that is taking you back to a state, again, of being that you're not comfortable with. So how do we go forward from that state of being? And there are different things that we do. Different things that are recommended from different people. I know what it worked for me. And for me, a big part of it, as a term that you said, is I had to begin to trust in me But that really also has a lot to do with trust in whatever my faith, my God, that is going to lead me and protect me in the next step or this next endeavor I'm doing to, again, do this transformation.
Hmm. So many people feel defined by their past. How did you shift from carrying your past to using it?
You are a product of your past, period. Period. Do we define ourselves and and it was interesting, great question. So when we're talking about defining ourselves by our past, are we creating identifications, self-identifications, identities that are representative of past behavior or past shame or past guilt? I am an ex-con. I used to say I'm an ex-con. It's true, but that's not how I identify myself today. No way, any way, shape, or form. And so a big part of that is changing the self-talk and changing that self-identification. But you still are a product of your past, good, bad, and indifferent. You're a product of it. The thing is through the transformation, we can now change how we see ourselves today. We're still a product of it, but the transformation allows us to have a self-talk and to have an identity internal. I'm not concerned about what the external world identifies me. To some people, I'm an ex-con. To some people, I'm a drug dealer. To some people, I am XYZ. To some people, I'm a Dartmouth College grad. Okay, but that's their terminology, or that's their identification of me. What is my identification? And then I do give some credence to those who are close to me and my loved ones. How do they see me? But I've transformed that. And I do not take the negative terminology that I did for a lot of years. I'm a drug addict. I am a drug addict. I'm in recovery. I'm coming up on 22 years clean and sober. So I don't identify myself as an addict. And I make sure that I put this, I'm an addict in recovery. True. I will always be an addict. That means if I pick up, I won't be able to control it. But I'm not an active addict. And plus, I just don't use that terminology. That's just such a small part of who I was. But that was 22 years ago.
Wow, powerful. So you're now a seven-figure business owner and a leader. What habits or mindset shifts were critical in making this that transition?
No, I love habits. Charles Duhigg and James Clear, Power of Habits, and yeah, all those the books that they wrote. Repetitive action, which is a habit, has an opportunity to be incremental and to compound, but it has to be repetitive, positive actions. If you do repetitive negative actions, I know where that leads. Because I love the word incarceration. I went to prison 3 times for felonies. Okay, did years behind bars. So I understand what a succession of repetitive negative actions. But let's talk about the positive. So a big part of building a business is, first of all, to understand what is your goal, what is the value added to the client or customer? I mean, what do I have to offer? What is my secret sauce? Or what do I have to offer at a remuneration or a dollar amount? Because again, I'm talking about for profit businesses that I have to offer that is going to be a value added to the client or the individual I'm selling to. We identify that, then we come up with a plan. Then we work the plan. We course correct as we go along. If you're smart, you will have an individual that or individuals that you are accountable. I'm going to a meeting later on today. I have a mastermind group. Yeah, I'm successful, but there are people much more successful than me. And I want to tap into them. Plus, I want to be accountable to them on certain actions that I'm doing within my companies. The other thing is, and this is a big one if you so, is have faith, because faith will help you to be a successful business owner. Almost not everyone business owner, but almost every business owner has to have courage. Courage, the willingness to accept the possibility of pain. That's what courage is. And there's decisions that we will make that we need to be willing to accept that this may not work, or that this is just going to be painful. I have to let go of this employee. I have to sever the relationship with the contractor. I have to talk to a client who's upset. Dot dot dot. It doesn't, whatever it may be, but you have to have courage to deal with that, because literally one of the worst things to do. Let me just put another one. To be a successful business owner, and this is just mine. There's many other people will give you different ones. You have to have agency. That means you have to be responsible. I'm the leader of my company. I founded the companies. I own the companies. But I have to have agency. I have to have movement and action within the company to continue on this path. At some point, you can step back. Sure, there's many business owners who the company, but you have to build to that pivot point. And I'd probably say great majority of companies, the great majority of companies, individuals are not at that point where they can walk away and the company runs on their own.
Absolutely. So, how has the past shaped how you lead both in business and in life now?
We'll just call it the near past. I don't lead. There's literally, I can't say that. I was going to say there's no component of let's take one of my criminal activities, my drug dealing, that I use in my present. But that would be incorrect. As a drug dealer, I did something what's called the grind. I grind. I sat out on a ledge or a stoop or a corner for hours selling drugs. And many hours, nobody came by, but I was there. I was grinding. I do the same thing in my business. I grind. I was grinding this morning. I get up 4:30, 5 o'clock. I'm in the office at 5:30 and I'm grinding. And to grind is repetitive action that has discomfort in it. When you're a runner and you're running, for your first 10K, your first half marathon, first marathon, there are aspects. I used to be a long distance runner that are painful. There's discomfort. We got to grind. When you go into the basketball court and you put up 1,000 shots, you're grinding for a perceived goal. And so that's one thing I've taken from my past. There's not too many more in that negative. Okay. The difference is, and it's still pretty much the same. I'm just grinding for a positive goal or aspiration. Or really, more importantly, and what I talk more about is the dream. What is the dream? So yeah, and the past of the last, especially 5 to 10 years, yeah, I use a lot of that. And those are just skills that I have learned to mature. And one of the highest levels of skills that I have learned, but I'm still working on, is discernment. How to choose between two like items or situations. They're closely. And discernment is a level above maturity, because you have to be able to look at each of these separately and weigh, even though they're similar, and discern what is going to be the best for you, or add the most value to whatever your goal, dream, or aspiration is.
I love that way to pivot. You've been featured on many podcasts, speak nationally. What
Mhm.
message do you find resonates most with people right now?
resilience, overcoming. There's another one I've been talking about a lot lately, which is truth and becoming grounded in truth, meaning accepting truth, seeking truth, understanding truth. And it's work to do that. And so I've been speaking a lot on that. And then another one that I think has resonated with many of my audiences is discussions of shame and what that encompasses. What is the definition? How do we overcome it? Or how do we change from being shame based? And then probably the last one, and I do a lot of talking and speaking on self esteem.
Beautiful. So, for someone listening right now who feels like they've made too many mistakes to turn things around, what would you say to them?
You haven't. First thing I would say, you haven't. Are you breathing? No. Yeah. You're still in the game. And it's not the number or magnitude. Now, those are two different things. Number of mistakes we make, and then the magnitude. So, for example, I've made a lot of mistakes. My magnitude was pretty heavy up there. Okay. I didn't kill anyone. I didn't rape anyone. I no child, so there's a magnitude. And then, but the number, oh my goodness, I've been arrested 20, 30 times, been to prison 3 times. I have a number of, on a scale of 1 to 5, of twos. Okay. One's a misdemeanor, two's a felony, five's the death penalty. I've had a lot of twos, maybe a few threes in there too. So anyway, so we have magnitude and we have number. Okay. And then the difficulty is you're looking at this sum total. And the big problem with most individuals is they have a behavioral aspect called recency bias. So just thinking about what happened, the last month, and it's hard for them to bring up into their consciousness when they weren't creating or doing negative things. See, my thing was, so my book, I have a book called Becoming Ken. And what it means is I had an identity of ex-con, drug dealer, pimp, all the stuff I did on the streets. That was my identity. That was my self-identity. But I just wanted to just turn back to that kid named Ken. I was a good kid. I was a good kid. I just want to go back to Ken because that's all I want to do. You don't have to call me a business owner, author, whatever, all the things, the accolades I have received. I just want to be Ken. I just want to be a kind and gentle man. But I had that picture. I could go back to that picture and bring it up. Now, for years, I couldn't bring up anything good about me because I'm looking at the recency bias. It's called a behavioral heuristic. And I'm looking at that and wondering why, why I'm such a bad person. That's an image, or that's an identity. The difficulty of this is that you believe your whole future is going to be like that. I will always be an F up. I will always cause pain to others and self. That's your future. That's your fear, but that's your belief. And so we need to break that. And so, when I talk to people, and I quote unquote work with guys, I've been mentoring for 15 years, men all over the country. I've been coaching. And, when I work with individuals, we go back and we look at the past and we change our interpretation of the path. Really, they do it. I just lead and guide them as they change that interpretation of the past.
Beautifully said. Well, this has been such a wonderful interview. Where can people find you, Ken?
LinkedIn, Ken Miller 84 is my handle. Just type in Ken Miller 84 when you go to LinkedIn. And then also, if you want to send me an email, it's ken@kenmillerspeaks.com. And I answer all my communications.
Awesome. I wish you nothing but continued success, my friend, and much love to you.
Thank you.
What a powerful conversation. Ken reminded us that your past does not disqualify you, but ignoring it might. His story shows us that transformation is not about pretending things didn't happen. It's about owning them, learning from them, and building something stronger because of them. Maybe today you saw your own challenges differently. Maybe you felt a shift in how you view your past. Or maybe you were reminded that change is still available, no matter how far off track things feel. This conversation isn't about perfection, it's about responsibility. It's about choosing a different direction and committing to it. So as you step back into your day, take one slow breath and ask yourself one honest question. What's one thing I can do differently today? Until next time, remember you are the creator of your own story and your soul is the pen. Much love to you all.